I'd like to start with Bob Gantz. So, Bob, would you come and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then a summary of your story, and how you think you were treated unfairly, and what we need to do? Just tell us the problem. What's going on?
My name is Bob Gantz. The grandson that was taken is my wife's grandson. I would be his step-grandfather. But I did a lot of research when they took him, when we got involved in trying to get custody of the child, and I found a lot of ugly things. Got to tell you. Kind of paraphrase a little bit of this so I can elaborate on some and skip over some others. When they took the child, Kay, which is a CPS worker in court, referred to a drug test that they had done, and hadn't got the results back yet. That was on December 6th. I've got a fax copy of the drug test results that are dated November 24th, where they were negative. So, call it a lie or a misstatement, whatever you want. It wasn't the truth. She, even if it's a lie by omission. Anyway, let me get back to it. There was the adoptive mother is a doctor, an oncologist in Grand Rapids, and I'll call her Dr. Kathleen, and Eric, her husband. Bradley was taken on January 6th. They got their foster license on December 6th. And they got their foster license on December 7th. On the 10th of December, there was a meeting at D.A. Blodgett to determine who the adoptive couple would be, the adoptive foster parents would be that he would be placed with, because the permanency plan, stated right on there, adoption, before he was ever taken. And that was a week before they ever made an attempt to contact his grandmother. And they sent that letter to an old address, which Kay, the CPS worker, had her new address, and our phone number, and stated so in a report from almost a year previously. So here's how I see it working. There's a woman named Marilyn at the Grand Rapids Community Foundation who distributes money to D.A. Blodgett, who is also assistant treasurer of the D.A. Blodgett Babies Welfare Guild, right? Who also served as an executive director of a Grand Rapids oncology program, recruiting patients for their cancer prevention studies. Well, the adoptive mother, my Dr. Kathleen, she's on the executive board member. She's an executive board member of the Grand Rapids Clinical Oncology Program. So, but that's not a connection as far as D.A. Blodgett is concerned. They even stated that in writing. So no influential connection is why they made formal placement with this couple only days after we made an appointment to come down there. Heather, the foster care licensing worker, I think it was might have been our first or second visit down there, asked if we'd be interested in another child. They wouldn't do a 30-day relative home study. We had to get a foster license. They told us the foster care licensing would be quicker than adoption process, and all the paperwork would transfer if it come to that. It didn't. It wouldn't transfer. They made us start all over again, you know, to delay the process. They had an adoptive conference with Eric and Kathleen only days after our first meeting, and these are only provisional licensed foster parents for 2 months, and have only had formal placement for like 2 weeks. They would only give us 1 hour of visitation per month, and didn't want his sister to visit him at all until we got the Office of Children Ombudsman involved. They came all the way to Midland to do our home study instead of having the local agency do it, which is customary. Nicole, the adoption worker, wanted us to request financial assistance, saying they try to get it for everybody. Bill Johnson denies for this on a regular basis. Hey, from the OCO report, the sufficient steps were not taken for sibling placement, did not locate and identify possible relative placement within 30 days. Bradley was improperly placed with adoptive family because it was past 30 days of the original placement, and removal was not requested. They didn't decide on relatives wanting placement within 90 days. When the relative assessment was done, it was incomplete, and a direct quote, the agency delayed the process. Like I said, DA Blodgett knows that once a child's with an adoptive couple for more than 6 months, Bill Johnson, the MCI superintendent, will not move them. Even though regulations give relatives preference for a year, he'll say a bond has been formed. During phone conversations with the OCO, when pressed as to why DA Blodgett was doing this, I was told I didn't understand. Promises have been made, and they do this all the time. And the only way things will change is if we take it all the way. Section 45 hearing. When we first met Margot, Bradley's paternal grandmother, paternal grandmother, before she knew we were trying to get Bradley, she told me they promised to help her with her medical problems if she didn't interfere with her plans. Hey, remember the doctor and the study and all that kind of stuff? She later said at the termination hearing that she was working for CPS and that she had made the last referral. In the end, DA Blodgett approved us for adoption, just not our grandson. The MCI gave 5 reasons for denial that had nothing to do with my wife, and we were approved by a private agency also. And just as a final note, you know, you can try and inform them all you want. I think a lot of Lansing already knows is from 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which was what was the most current information when I was looking into all this stuff. All these high graphs are for non-compliance with policy or law from the annual reports of the OCO office. So if they don't know, they don't want to know, or they're not doing their job.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thanks. Thank you, Bob. Some of those details just sound too familiar. We continue to hear from various people. Once in a while I get an email from another state, and I'll read through it, and I'll think, yep, heard that, yep, that sounds familiar. And then somewhere in the story there'll be something different. Of course, the names will be different, the locations will be different, but the pattern seems, unfortunately, to be all too familiar.